Hey everyone, my name is Matthew Kramer, and I'm the voice for the MC Squared Sports Show. And today I'm going to be discussing the NBA's top 100 players. Because ESPN's were fucking terrible. Like, I don't know if Max Kellerman stood in there and said Iguodala should be number one. That's probably what happened. And ESPN just wouldn't let it. They had to put LeBron. That makes sense. But, anyways, today I will be discussing players 81 through 100, in my opinion. So if you don't like it, that's fine. I don't care. We can move on. Let's go. Um, at 100, I put Marc Gasol. A lot of people might disagree with me on this because obviously, obviously a younger Marc Gasol would not be no 100. Yes, I get that. But if you watched Marc Gasol last year, yes, he was injured for a lot of the games last year, but he looked old as shit. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, he can still shoot the three. He's still a good defending center, but a lot of these centers he can't even keep up with them anymore. But he can still shoot the three. He gives you some veteran leadership to your team. That's why the Lakers signed him. It's because Montrezl Harrell cannot play defense. So, but all Marc Gasol can do now is defend the paint, and he can shoot the three. If they need, he can spread the floor. So that's why I have him at 100. And 99, keep in mind all 100 players were in ESPNs. I just redid it. But at 99, I put Otto Porter Jr. from the Bulls. Um, I think he's a solid player. He can shoot the three, long wingspan, really athletic, really versatile. Um, I feel like if he can stay healthy, and with the Bulls with Billy Donovan as their head coach, Billy Donovan loves to get multiple players involved in the rotation. You saw that with OKC last year. So I think if he can stay healthy and he can get the right role with the Bulls with Levine and Kobe White and Markkanen, um, I think he could just continue to get better and better. And then now at 98, I have Jarrett Allen from the Nets. He's probably the best defending center in the NBA, in my opinion, because there's not a guy that's going to go at him and dunk on him or score on him. He's blocking anybody that comes near him. Ask LeBron. He blocked LeBron, blocked Harden, blocked Durant, and so forth. So I think he's a classic old school center. Defends the paint, he does his job, and they have DeAndre Jordan too, so that helps out a little bit. He's young. He just continues to get better with the Nets now having Kyrie and Durant. He'll probably be coming out the bench, so he'll just continue to get better and better. But he's a rare type in today's NBA because nowadays NBA centers are more spread the floor, more athletic, can do more things. Jarrett Allen is just a classic old school center, so that's why I have him at 98. The 97 is probably the strongest player in all of basketball. That's Steven Adams. He now plays for the Pelicans. Um, he's always been a consistent center. No matter how good the Thunder was or how bad the Thunder was, he's always been a consistent center. Um, he does what you need him to do. You really don't have to ask too much from him. And like I said, he is the strongest player in the NBA. So, and I think putting him in the front court with Zion Williamson, who will eventually probably move to small forward at some point. Um, but yeah, that was a great move for the Pelicans to get him because now they have a solid center because they lost Derek Favors. Um, Steven Adams can help be like the leader to Jackson Hayes off the bench, second year player at Texas. Um, he's a good leader, like I mentioned. And then 96, I put Javante Murray, guard from the Spurs. I I believe in ESPN he was like 84 or something like that. But I put him all the way at 96 because um, I don't even think he's the best guard on the Spurs. For one, I think it should be Derek White, um, but he's an athletic guard. He's like, I wouldn't say more of a Russell Westbrook because he's not. No one's like Westbrook athletic wise, but Dejounte Murray he has that veteran leadership in just 2 years. I believe he provides a positive role for the Spurs, and I think he just with under Popovich, any player who plays under Popovich is just going to continue to get better and better and better. Davis Bertans, look at him. Look how he's developed in Washington with the Wizards. His first 2-3 years he's with the Spurs, Popovich got him ready, which I think he'll do the same with Javante Murray. But I just don't think he's hit his full stride yet on what he's capable of. That's why I have him at 96. And then at 95, I have Derek White, point guard for the Bulls. I actually really like Derek White. He's the only good point guard the Bulls have, honestly. Because with Zach LaVine playing shooting guard, he's just gonna get better and better. He had a great rookie year last year for the Bulls. I think something he really needs to work on is his defense, because defensively he's crap. I'm not gonna lie. Not only like he gets blown by a lot, but he just pretty much he pulls a James Harden. He just gives up on the play. So I think he really needs to show improvement on getting better defensively and free throw shooting. I think he's a really inconsistent free throw shooter, and I feel like he needs to try to draw more, kind of like try to do James Harden. He has to get more physical. But depending on what happens to Chicago, whether going down the line, if he stays in Chicago with Zach LaVine, think if Zach LaVine or Larry Markkinen, if they both leave, I think Derek White is going to leave at some point too. Kind of like a Jimmy Butler situation. But hopefully that doesn't happen, and the Bulls can just build off him and LaVine and Markkinen. And now they got Patrick Williams out of Florida State and Wendell Carter. So that's where I have him at 95. 94 is Patrick Beverley. A lot of people, I told people about this, I didn't even have him top 90 because I think Patrick Beverley is overrated. I mean, yeah, he's a physical defender, but I don't even think he's a top 5 defending guard in the NBA right now. You can disagree with me. I don't care. Because he's really physical, but if you have a guy that'll be just as physical with him, he will. He loves to hack too, and if you like get physical back with him, he gets salty. Like, I think Beverly is trash. I think he's really inconsistent 3-point shooter. He shoots below 30% from 3. His attitude is terrible. Reggie Jackson just embarrassed that man last year. Took his starting job at one point last year. So I think Beverly, if he wasn't a physical defender, or if you put him on a team where there's no good defenders, or with no good players, because he's always had a good player, whether it was in Rockets with James Harden, or now with Kawhi, or he had Doc Rivers as a coach, he's always kind of like had a break. He's still a great player, but I still think he overrated his shit. Just being honest. You don't agree with me? I don't care. Like I said. And then 93, I have Josh Richardson, who he's now in Dallas. He was in Philly last year. I was really high on him last season, coming from Miami to Philly. But last year, especially when Simmons and Embiid were injured and went down, Josh Richardson, he should have been his time to step up. And Josh Richardson, he just played worse. Like, I think he needs to work better on his consistency with his shooting. I feel like he forces it too much when it's really not needed. Instead of just like there'll be, like, for example, 6 or 7 on the shot clock, but instead of making an extra pass, he'll force up a shot that's not needed, that he know he's not gonna make. Because I don't think he's that good of a shooter, but he is a solid defender. He gives you length. Um, he can play the 2 as well. He can also play the 3. Um, Next year he's with Luka, and hopefully Porzingis can come back. And Tim Hardaway Jr. is getting better and better every year. Um, any player with Luka's gonna make them look good. So I think Dallas is a great fit for him, especially with hopefully he can make a big 3 with Luka and Porzingis, and he can just break out, have a breakout season. We will see. But in the 92, I have Mike Conley. He guard for the Jazz. I mean, yeah, he used to be a top 20, 30 player when he was in Memphis when he was young. But looking at him the past year and a half that he actually has been healthy, he really has not played well. Like he should be playing better because he's healthy, but I feel like then again he's also getting older, and he's kind of like taking a step back from like scoring, like offensively, and kind of being more like a leader, a true point guard. Um, which he's still a good player, but he's still not near what he used to be. And then at 91, I have John Collins from the Hawks. I feel like he's at a real disadvantage because he's young, first couple years, and he already has an attitude problem with his contract because he keeps complaining about an extension when he's only in his 3rd season, and he wants a max extension, which is not gonna happen. So, but putting him with in the front court with Clint Capella, I think it'll really work well for him. With his size, his length, he's 6'11". He could play the 4 with Capella at the 5. He can shoot it. He can shoot the 3. Spread the floor more. I feel like he can. I feel like he needs to get bigger, like for a size, especially being 6'11", being a big man, and going to the rack as much as he does. But I think with Trae Young's going to continue to get better. They got Bogdan Bogdanovic now. That'll help with their experience. And with Rondo off the bench, Chris Dunn's another defending guard, and Horder, DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, all those guys, Danilo Gallinari. So picking up them young guys, I think he's going to help out guys like Trae Young and Reddish and Hunter and Herder and everything, and it'll help out John Collins too. So I think all these young players, like just because like Luka, Ja, Zion, they all continue that they are just good right when they came in the league. But some players like they have a lot of potential that people obviously don't see because they just see the big numbers. But I think there's a lot of young players in the NBA right now that people overlook, and sometimes they just need the right team, the right system. But a lot of these players in the top 100 are really dogs. It's just they're gonna get better and better and better. Like so. But moving on, I had 90. I have Danilo Gallinari. He was another veteran the Hawks signed, which the Hawks already told him he'd be coming off the bench, which he agreed to. But that's another big man for the Hawks with John Collins and Clint Capella. But Danilo Gallinari, he's a good forward. He's a good wing. He can play the 5, honestly. He had a decent year in OKC last year. The previous year with the Clippers, he had a pretty good season because they played as a team, surprised a lot of people. But Danilo Gallinari, he's big. He has size. He can spread the floor with the 3. He provides a lot of veteran leadership that I really think goes unnoticed. Because I feel like he's a really good leader, but it's just not shown. And then at 89, I have Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio, he's a solid veteran. Now he's in Minnesota, back in Minnesota now, his home. Which is a great team for him, honestly, because he's going back home. He can relieve some of the pressure up the D'Angelo Russell. Um, Solid point guard off the bench. He's a great passer. He's a absolutely terrible shooter. Draymond Green shoots better than that man. Um, Rick Rubio, he has a tendency. He does not play well playoff time, honestly, but he's a great passer. He's a true point guard. He really doesn't need to score unless he has to because he's a point guard. He just makes players other around him better. Kind of like a Chris Paul. Chris Paul doesn't have to score if he doesn't need to. But and then to 88, I have Montrezl Harrell. A lot of people think Montrezl Harrell is close to a top 50 player, which I believe he's not. I feel like he has a lot of things he has to work on, even though he's just coming off a Sixth Man of the Year. Think because after the bubble, when he came back into the bubble, he did not play well. That's part of one of the reasons why Doc Rivers, he wasn't getting much minutes. So Michael Green was getting more of the minutes in that role. Manchester, I think he needs to work on his I think he gets backed down too much. I really do. Klay Thompson backed that man down. He needs to work on his size and just not being a baby. He needs to be more aggressive in the paint. He needs to work on his defense most definitely. With an LA, he's with being around LeBron James, Anthony Davis, players like that. Hopefully he can hit that next shot defensively and continue to get better coming off his Sixth Man of the Year. And he's with LeBron. LeBron revives careers, let's just be honest. And then 87, I have OG Anunoby from the Raptors. Former IU player. Ooh, go Indiana. But yeah, last year, first season, he really didn't play all that much because of an injury. Yeah, they won the championship. But last year, he really showed people why he was a monster at Indiana. And because he can shoot the three, he had a game winner last year too. That was awesome. Because I hate the Celtics. But OG Anunoby, he's a really, I think he's a lockdown defender. But people disagree with me. I think he's a lockdown defender. He's a really solid wing that I would take on my team. This is only his third or fourth season coming up. You have him put players around him like Kyle Lowry and Siakam, Van Fleet, Norman Powell off the bench. I really like OG Anunoby. I just don't think he's had enough experience yet. Because last year he played majority of the season, but the year they won the championship, he really wasn't. They didn't play that many games because of an injury coming out of college. But and then 86, I have Kevin Love. ESPN had him in around 60, 70, which I don't know why. Because coming to the season, what has Kevin Love done? Kevin Love hasn't done. I think Kevin Love, he should have. I thought he was going to be a good leader, and he was going to play close to his old Minnesota self when LeBron left. But injuries have prevented that. Different players that have been trying with a new system. He's been with 3 different coaches, but hopefully, depending on whether he gets traded or not by the season, putting him with Andre Drummond now. They have JaVale McGee off the bench. They signed Thonmaker, which is a great pickup. And with just a young team in Cleveland, I just think he's eventually gonna get traded. Kevin Love's getting old. Really, all they kind of use him for is rebounding and 3-point shooting. He's not that dominant in the paint big man like he used to be. Was kind of the reason, kind of a LeBron's fault, honestly, or Cleveland's fault, because he had to change his role when he went from Minnesota to Cleveland. But I still think he's a solid player. I just don't see him a top 80 player anymore. I would definitely take him if I need to go get an offensive rebound or secure a rebound or something. But They need a good rebounder on my team. Need a guy that can spread the floor. Draymond, he's I think he's kind of like a Draymond Green now because obviously he can rebound. He's a good leader. He can pass too. Good passer. He can shoot. Draymond Green used to be decent, but now because the past couple years Draymond's been struggling. But moving on, 85. I have LaMarcus Aldridge. Um, LaMarcus Aldridge. I know it was preseason, but he looked good in that first preseason game back. He's really been injured. Surprised he hasn't got traded, but he's the oldest player on the Spurs right now. Him and DeRozan are two oldest players. Everyone else is in first to fourth, third, 3 or 4 years in the league. So if if he ends up staying in San Antonio, which I think would be great for him, um, he's still a great four. He can play the five. I think he has one of the best mid range big men in all the NBA when he's healthy. So when he's healthy, there's not many fours that can guard him. Obviously Anthony Davis and Kristaps, but LaMarcus Aldridge, if he stays healthy, I think the Spurs could be really interesting this year with all them young guards they got. If DeRozan stayed this offseason, so it'll be really interesting to see if Marcus Aldridge can bounce back from his injuries the past few seasons. But then 84, I have Joe Ingles. Um, People wonder why I have Joe Ingles at 84, and that is because he has the highest 3-point per shooting percentage since 2015, like in all of the NBA. He's shooting at 50%. Obviously, he doesn't shoot that many threes, but he's always been a great leader ever since he first came in. No matter what year he's been in, he's a great defender. He's a consistent, like I said, consistent 3-point shooter, mid range, free throw, everything. He's really durable. He's never really injured. He can play up to the 4, I believe. And when Bogdanovich was healthy last year, Utah was like that was like a lethal combination. And Joe Ingles didn't have to score because like him and Bogdanovich I think are good defenders with obviously Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and Jordan Clarkson off the bench. I just think Joe Ingles, he's a really good player and a really good system for him. So I have him at 84. 83, I have Seth Curry. He's had obviously, anybody who knows me, I'm a Steph Curry fan. But Steph Curry, honestly, I believe he had a way easier road than Seth did. Seth, when he came out of college, he went straight to the D League. It was just the D League, and now it's the G League. But then he went up. He came to the Kings, I believe, and then he got called back down to the G League, and then eventually came back up. Got signed by the Kings again. Then went to Dallas. Then went to Portland. He played his brother in the conference championship game. Then he went back to Dallas last year, and he's continued to get better and better. He's a better defender than his brother, I believe. He's obviously a great shooter because his last name is Curry, obviously, and he's positioned as a shooting guard, but he can play point guard too. And now you got with him a guy like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid and Danny Green, so that was a really good fit for him. That's what Philly needs. He's not really a superstar or anything, but he's more of a role player. But he's a really solid all-around player. So I think majority of the NBA teams would honestly take, no matter what players they have, what system they're in. But in 82, I have Eric Bledsoe, which, yeah, I can see why people say he's kind of low, but I chose him 82, so oh well. But he's probably easily top 5 defending guard in the league. He's easily top 3 defending point guard in the NBA. He's a pretty good shooter. I think he has. I think he chokes a lot. That's why he ended up getting traded because Giannis Antetokounmpo really needed some consistent shooters in the playoffs, and that's something Eric Bledsoe did not do. And he got injured, a few times too. But he's a nice solid point guard. He probably I think he'll come off the bench this year with Lonzo in New Orleans, but he's just gonna get. He he used to be in Phoenix with Devin Booker, and then he kind of like went unnoticed until he was in Milwaukee, and then when he's in Milwaukee, everyone started to notice him when he with his defense on James Harden. I feel like that's when he started to get noticed more and recognized. But that's just the disappointment of the NBA sometimes. When you be killing it and you can just easily go on the low until you play a really good team or a really overrated player, and you play well, and then everyone starts to notice you. Sometimes that's what happens. But going forward, the last one for today, I have PJ Tucker 81. The reason I got PJ Tucker kind of higher than what ESPN did, obviously, but they don't know what I'm talking about. But because he's 6'7", and he was defending Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard. So I'm like, PJ Tucker, he can defend any center at 6'7", which is crazy. I think when he plays center, he's the best defending center because he can easily go out the 3-point line when you're trying to spread the floor. He can do that. He's obviously quicker than most centers too, and he's really strong. His corner shot is just lethal. Like he rarely misses that corner shot, which is crazy. You have him with John Wall. Now they have Boogie if they can stay healthy with Eric Gordon. PJ Tucker's a nice solid player that can pretty much do anything. And that is it for today. But I will be back tomorrow to discuss 61 to 80. And this is just the start of my channel. So hopefully I can do better because see what else I'm going to do afterwards. Next week I'm probably going to do NFL. If you guys have any topics that you want me to talk about or any things you want me to predict or games or anything, just comment on this video, and we'll take it all in consideration. But this is the end of it today, and I will be discussing the rest of the top 100 up until Friday. That's when I'll find out 1 to 20, and when Friday comes, whoever guesses 1 to 20, I might be doing a prize. So whoever can guess the most out of my top 20 once we get to Friday. So, but that's it for today. If you guys watch this, I appreciate you watching. Appreciate the support. But I will see you guys tomorrow, and hope everyone has a blessed day.